at 5:34 p.m. Any public appearances? No.
Not that I see. No.
Moving along then to approval of the June 2021 minutes. Can someone please motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 2021 minutes.
I need a second before we have a discussion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Brock. Any discussion? Then I will mention there were 2 typos. In the minutes under 6A, it says Rawson asked Schilling. We need the word to be there, T-O, before the word be.
Okay.
And under policy reviews, 2A, the last line should be based, not base. So we're missing the D there.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer report.
All right, so we're going to talk about the register and the overview at the same time. That's all right. There's really very little to remark on here. We had a couple of things. You'll see under account 240 in the register that we're spending some money on LED retrofits. So we have, this is sort of a 2-part program. Part of it is what Kevin and his guys can do for us, and then, which is what this is supplies for that. You'll see in the next couple of months coming up that we're also working with Hill Electric to do some retrofitting. So that's one of our kind of goals this year, is to get a lot of that done. You'll also see a charge from Arch Electric in that account for 440. That is to repair the solar panels. We had a section of solar that was not functioning properly. This is the second time that's happened. So Arch Electric is who comes out and fixes that for us. I'm very happy with how 387 is going. So we spent over $20,000 in that account this year, or this month, which is great to see that ticking down. I would also like to note that on the overview, account 5920, that's the last account in expenditures, the city administration fee. They just took that entire fee out at one time. We used to do it quarterly and it was kind of a mess. So I've asked them to just do it all at one time. So that has come out. Are there any questions about either the register or the overview?
Then can I have a motion to approve if there are no questions? Oh, Anne, sorry.
Did have a question.
Yeah.
I noticed that on the repair and maintenance 240, that is at 80.
Oh, you've frozen up for me, Anne. Ooh, can you refresh your screen or something? I can't hear you, Anne.
I don't know if she can hear us.
I don't know either. I wonder if we can put something in there.
Yeah, she froze for me too.
Yeah. Ooh, she's back.
I'm back. I got kicked
Ooh.
out.
Sorry, you froze for us.
I did. Yeah. I was asking about account 240
Yes.
repair at 83% at this point in the year. Are you concerned about that, or are you fine?
So that is a large part of that is the LED conversion. So we'll be spending that. Kevin and I are trying to get $20,000 spent on that by the end of the year. So it's in progress, and I am confident that we'll spend as much as we can, as much as we can get Hill Electric's time in here to work on that.
Okay, but you're not concerned that we're getting, okay, that's all my question was. Thank you.
So what that's saying is that we've got 83% left. So the concern would be not spending it fast enough.
Got it.
But no, I think we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions?
If there are no other questions, may I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Anne. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion to approve the financial register and the financial report overview passes. Is there any unfinished business?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to new business.
All right, so we're going to talk about the draft 2022 budget. So this is the first time that you guys are seeing it. The council does like or in the finance department, for the board to see this and approve it. It is very early days. This will change a lot before we're done with it. The final approval will be by council in, I believe, early November. So nothing is final here. What I did this time, anything that you see highlighted in purple is not a confirmed number yet. So we're waiting for a lot of information to come in. The first one is the property tax levy. So I went with a 4% increase. That's based on information that I got about net new construction in Fitchburg, but that is always limited by expenditure restraint. So that could go, it could go up or down. Here's hoping it doesn't go down, but we just don't know yet. So that'll come in the next couple of months. If you look then down, we've got pretty solid numbers for salaries and wages, but our insurance costs are just a guess at this point. So that will come in over the next couple of months as well. And finance will tell us when we have more solid numbers for that. Contractual services I put in purple. I've got a couple of vendors that I'm still waiting to hear back from to see if we're going to have more of an increase than I expect. But hopefully that won't be too much. We're actually going down just a smidge in that account. Other accounts I wanted to talk about. 340 operating materials and supplies. I'm taking that down $10,000. I have in the last couple of years been putting $10,000 in that account. Originally it was from fund balance, and then we were able to fit it in the budget to work on strategic planning projects. I feel like that is kind of winding down and we haven't used it the last 2 years. So I don't think there's a reason to budget for it, and we are going to need the money elsewhere. So that is why that has been reduced this year. I am also taking down utilities. So after I just got done telling everybody about how we fixed the chiller and now our bills are going to be more expensive, it's turning out that they are not more expensive. The last couple of months, which you guys haven't seen yet because we're talking about April today, have been in the $5,000 range. I don't expect that. I think we'll still in winter time, probably like in the dead of winter, be at 7,000 or 8,000. But it looks like it's going to be lower for the rest of the year, which is fantastic. The other good news is that the O'Brien solar field project, the city did invest in 250 kilowatts of that project, and it will be spread amongst all of the departments for all of the buildings. So we should see some kind of a decrease for that. I'm always very nervous with solar when we don't know what the decrease is going to be, to take it down too much. So I could probably go down further than this, but I'm not comfortable doing that until we see a year's worth of bills come in. But that's taking it down 7,000, which is pretty significant. We did see a 38% increase in stormwater charges, and that is across the entire city of Fitchburg. And I think that is due to expansion around the city, that they're having to add in a lot of stormwater in new neighborhoods and that kind of thing. So that is a pretty dramatic increase. It takes us from like 275 to 308 per quarter. So that's not an enormous expense for us. So that's folded in there as well. The other thing that is a real unknown for us is there on the second page, IT operating allocation, insurance allocation, and IT capital. So we pay for IT services and for their capital projects. And also the administrative fee. So our administrative fee could go up higher than expected depending on the new projects that are approved by the council through the budget process. We pay for finance, economic development, HR department. So say the HR department was to add a whole new staff member, we would see a pretty significant increase because we pay a percentage of that. So that's kind of an unknown. I put in a fairly significant increase every year just as a placeholder, and then we'll see where that kind of shakes out. You'll see at the bottom in orange, right now we've got a surplus of $23,000, which looks fantastic, but we need a surplus of $38,000 in order to do the personnel change that is going to be the next thing on our topic or on the agenda. So we've got a personnel new staffing proposal is what it's really called. So we'll talk about that. But my hope is that I can take some money out of a couple of different places in here. So I'm thinking, I've got my eye in a few places. I think we had $13,000 budgeted for furniture replacements, and we could probably take that down a little bit. If we needed to back off on the solar, we kept that $20,000 for solar, or I mean LED refurbishing. We could take that down if we needed to, but we will need to get this to, if this new personnel passes the library board and the council, we will need $38,000 of a surplus to pay for that. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So again, you're not voting on a final budget here. This is very much in progress, and you'll see it many more times before anything is official. But we do want the council to just know that you've seen it and approved it in the format that it's in now.
So can I have a motion to approve in the draft 2022 budget as it stands right now?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you,
Oh.
Ann.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Wendy, do we need to approve the new staffing proposal?
Yes, let's talk about that a little bit and then we'll approve it. So this, I told you, I think at the last meeting that our evening custodian position was vacant again. That if you've read through the description here, it's the 9th time we're trying to hire that position in 10 years. Not working out real great for us. So the idea with that position is that we have someone to clean before we're opening the next morning. And that the hours were 7 to 11 p.m. because we would like them to have 2 hours in the building without patrons to clean. That presents a lot of problems supervisory, like the person is not really supervised. Their direct supervisor, they don't see at all because that person goes home at 3:30. But also like the hours just aren't great. So it's just turned over a lot. We looked at a couple of different options, Kevin and I did, about maybe having a second part-time person that's in the morning, but then we have 2 people in the building while we're open trying to clean, which I don't think is great. I think, so this is what we went with, is to take our half-time person that's here in the morning and make him a full-time employee. He's very interested in this option. We wanted to make sure that we wouldn't vacate that position in order to do this. So this is taking the person in the position. He's been with us since we opened in July of 2011. So he's been here long-term and is very dependable. So I'm very comfortable in making him full-time, but that is a pretty big commitment of funds. So it's adding benefits. The hourly is not a huge part of this. It is a little bit because he's been here for a while. So he's at a higher rate than a new hire would be. But the bulk of this is going to be adding benefits. I think retention will be good. I think even if he were to leave the position, recruitment would be much easier than it would be for what we've done with the evening position. And I think it's kind of just the right thing to do. Anytime you can take part-time positions and make them into a full-time and it works for us, I think it's the right thing to do. And I met with HR and finance to talk about this, and they were both on board. Finance, obviously, if we could cover the increase, but HR was very encouraging about it as well. So it's about $38,000 to increase both the wages and the benefits, which is where I'm trying to get that surplus of $38,000. It doesn't really come with a lot of, there's a lot of fields in this form about increasing costs for IT and everything, but because it's an existing position and actually 2 positions that we're putting into one, there's actually some decrease in other costs. So email licenses and, we don't need another workstation or another phone, that kind of thing. So I think it's the smart thing to do, but it is a commitment of funds. So I wanted to make sure to bring this to the board and have you all look at it and see if you agree with that. Do you have questions, or do we want to have a motion first and then discussion? Ann?
Well, I'll make a motion. I do have some questions, but I'll make a motion to approve turning the part-time custodial position into a full-time position.
Brock will second that proposal.
Okay, discussion, questions?
So I have a question. What would the new hours be for this position?
I think we would probably give him the option of either continuing to start at 7 in the morning, or if he wanted to come in earlier, he could. Right now, he is working overnights at UW Hospital, doing some cleaning there. And so his start time is very dependent on when he gets out of that position. I think we would have him here earlier now than we do currently, which would be good for us. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good to hear that he would still have some time before the library is open
Yes.
to do the cleaning. Thank
try
you.
to get as much of the floors and the bathrooms done as we can before we've got people. Yeah, we are really fortunate though, once Kevin and I kind of started talking about the details, that we've got 4 sets of restrooms, so you could have ones shut down. There's 2 on each floor. You don't have to go far to get to another one if we've got one out of commission for cleaning. Any other questions?
Okay, it has been motioned to approve and seconded. May we have a vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent, thank you.
President's report. The only thing I have from Stephen is that performance evaluation surveys will go out later this month. So Anne and Chris, you should look for those. And Brock, you don't have to worry about that because you really don't know enough about Wendy to review her at this point in time. And that's all I have for President's report.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Okay, Library Director report.
All right, so I'm going to start with something that Stephen asked me to talk about. So there is a new competency on my evaluation form this year that has been added for all managerial staff in the city of Fitchburg, and it is building and sustaining an inclusive and diverse workplace. And Stephen just asked that I talk about a little bit what I've been doing that applies to this, so that you guys are a little bit prepared to answer it since it's new. And there were 3 things that came to mind for me. I think there are 2 parts of this competency. One is of course working to increase the diversity of our staff at the library. But I think the other one is also to just sort of improve inclusiveness and make sure that our staff have adequate training and that kind of thing. So the Ripple project that we've been working on, I think really fits into the training part of it. I will say that has not been going as well as I had hoped. It's been a little hit or miss with the person that's working for Dane County on this. So we have 2 employees that are representatives on a regional equity team. And they are very dedicated about going to their meetings, but not many other libraries are. So I feel like we've been a little bit frustrated with that. So I was very excited to hear that we have another opportunity coming up this fall. And it's through Library Journal. So it's a national, I guess, conference isn't the right word, but it's basically an online course. And they are calling it Equity in Action, Fostering an Anti-Racist Library Culture. So it consists of 3 live sessions, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks apart. And then it counts for 15 CE credits. So there's going to be quite a bit, I think, of reading and discussion and online assignments. The fantastic thing about this is it's national. So I think they've got some really good resources for bringing people in to be the speakers and the moderators. But the other great thing is that we are going to be going together with South Central and some other systems in Wisconsin, so we can get a fantastic group rate, and we get the individual registration down to like $160. And South Central is getting some money from ARPA, the rescue plan, to do continuing education, and they are willing to pay for 5 of our staff completely to attend. So what I'd like to do, we've got 10 full-time and or librarians on staff. So I would like to have all 5 managers go, but then also the other 5 full-time and librarians on staff. So we can have 10 people attend. So I think that'll be a really good, hopefully maybe a little bit what the Ripple project we thought was going to be and maybe hasn't panned out. but I think it's a good resource to take advantage of. The other part that we've been working on is with HR. So when we're posting jobs and we're getting applications in, trying to make that process more equitable. So what we've been doing is using the software that we use for applications, and we've been redacting names. So there's no identifying information there, which I think just kind of levels the playing field. And that's been working really well. So we've been doing that for most of the year, I think. It adds a couple of weird glitches with how paperwork is done, and it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to look through applications, but we're getting used to it. So I think it's working out pretty well. So those are the things I wanted to tell you about that new competency. Moving on to other things, just an update on kind of where we are with services right now. We are still closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays for curbside services. 3 days ago, I would have told you that it was time to reopen one of those days. And then 2 people in the circulation department resigned this week. One of them has been here for 5 years and she's great, but she just got hired away by Liz, who used to be our outreach librarian, hired her to work at Middleton, which is good for her, but she can't do both. And then we have another person who's fantastic. She's been here for a month and she just got a full-time job at Madison Schools. And I can't begrudge somebody a full-time job. She said she loves it so much here that she would like to become a shelver. So it solves one of our problems in that we're going to shift her from an LA1 into a shelver position. We are also have 4 open shelver positions. So we are kind of backed up in processing and shelving right now. That position was posted. It's a really tough hiring environment right now. We posted 3 shelver positions and we got 12 applications, which is really low for us. So I think we're going to have some challenges hiring. I think at this point, I don't know that I want to open up for another in-person day when we're going to be so short-staffed. We're planning to do it after Labor Day anyway. So we're just kind of buying ourselves 4 more weeks of trying to get the job posted, the interviews done, people hired, and just enough staff to cover the desks. But I did want to run that past you because, you know, there are people who are inconvenienced by not being able to come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Curbside numbers are down. There are still plenty of people that are doing it. I cannot tell if they would come into the library if curbside wasn't available, which is something that I had been thinking real hard about before all the resignations happened.
Wendy, with cases of COVID going in the wrong direction now, we might see curbside head back up again.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely a possibility. Yeah, so I think we'll just stick with the current schedule if that's all right with everybody. Okay. All right. We have opened the quiet reading room, which is good news. We were able to move all the furniture that we need to out of that room. We were using it for storage. I wouldn't have told you that I thought it was real dark and dingy in here with that. We had newspaper over the windows to just block the view in there because we were storing things. And we took those down yesterday and it looked so nice in the library. There's so much more light. It's nice to be back to normal a little bit. We are also not quarantining our materials anymore. We stopped that after the 4th of July. We are still collecting returns in the blue bins that we were using instead of using the sorter. And that is because we are so short-staffed in circulation that it gives us more, I guess, flexibility on when we want to run things through the sorter. When it's hooked up to the drop, you just have to empty it when it overflows. And at this point, we can just move a bin out of the way and then put it through the sorter when we've got someone here to do it. And I think we had assumed we would rehook the sorter up after Labor Day, but I'm going to say now, if we're not going to have probably new hires until mid-September, it might be a little bit longer. Also, the meeting rooms, we are planning to reopen after Labor Day. And so the reservation software is back up and running and people are able to make reservations for after Labor Day. It is not going gangbusters, which is just fine with everybody, I think. All right, so that is everything I have for update about what we're doing currently. Does anybody have any questions about? Yes, Ann.
Yeah, have you received any word from the Friends on when they will start accepting book donations?
We have been accepting them for quite some time now. We have been limiting people to 20 items a day, and we are collecting them in a bin in the lobby. We were doing that so that we could quarantine items like we were doing everything else. And it's worked out so nicely that I think we're just going to keep doing that. We have some bins freed up because we bought 12 extra sort of heavy duty plastic bins to use for the book drop. And so we've got a lot more options now. So we have the nice looking bins out in the lobby. So we're going to keep doing that. They are planning on having their October sale. Yeah, and they've started to have book sorters come back in to start sorting through their stuff. So we are back in action there.
Good.
Any other questions? All right, moving along, fall. We're talking about fall programming. And I think we all thought we knew what we were going to do, and then things have kind of turned around. I think Delta is worrying everybody. I think also we really thought that there was going to be a vaccine for kids by fall, and that does not look like it's going to happen. Tim reports from the youth department downstairs that about half of families coming in are not wearing masks at all. So I'm real concerned about doing programs and putting people in enclosed room, even in September and October. We've been sort of looking to see what other libraries are thinking about doing. And it looks like everybody is really thinking September, October are going to continue to be online programs and or outdoor programs. So we are looking at maybe in September doing some outdoor story times. There's a green space that's in between the library and sort of the parking lot on the other side. We've done petting zoos there before, so it's a pretty big space. So we're thinking that we could start with preschool story times in that area. I checked with the city administrator. He's okay with us using that space, but he did mention that we will want to keep a close eye on what Dane County Public Health is recommending as far as gatherings. If they start putting limits on gatherings, then I think we would probably nix that idea and just stick with online. I think adult programming, we're looking at bringing back in September. Our attendance numbers for those are so much lower, and adults have the opportunity to be vaccinated. So I think book clubs, we're talking maybe 8 to 12 people. So I think we can do those in the meeting room and have them spaced out pretty well. So I'm pretty comfortable going forward with that, but I think we're going to have to really be careful with youth. Any questions about that? Comments? Okay. All right. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that we did another little staff appreciation thing. So we needed new mugs for the staff lounge. So I went ahead and got Fitchburg logo mugs. Ooh, let me see if I can grab mine. So we went ahead and did a Fitchburg Library mug and put some candy in it and just handed those out to the staff. I think the public is in general irritated these days. And I think it's kind of hard to be on a public service desk. So I just wanted to say thank you to the staff for hanging in there. There's also still plenty more people that are happy to be here and complimentary. But yeah, I think being in public service anywhere right now is kind of challenging. So we did that this week. All right, that is all I have for library director update.
Okay, committee reports then, strategic planning,
Nothing.
facilities.
I already mentioned that we're doing the LED retrofitting. So we have completed the staff areas on the first and second floors, and we are in the process of getting bids to start doing the public areas. That's all for
And
that.
personnel.
I already gave you the bad news that we had a lot of resignations, all for good reasons, but still.
So the only thing under announcements is that the next library board meeting will be Wednesday, August 18th at 5:30 through Zoom.
Yes, we had planned for that to be our last Zoom meeting. So I think we can talk further about that in August and see where things are.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Also motion.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brock. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then the meeting is adjourned at 6:04 p.m.
Nicely
Stay
done.
safe.